My guest today is Georgia Youngs, who was originally from Toronto and now lives in the Dunbar area in Vancouver and is an expert at what she does. And the pictures I've seen of her paintings, primarily of beautiful art of flowers, is very impressive. But you do more than that. Tell us why you moved to Vancouver and what inspires you about developing your craft here and how you do that.
Well, that's a really good question. Thanks, Peter. I moved here about 20 years ago with my husband, and our daughter at that time, I think, was 6 or 7. And we moved here for business reasons. His business office opened up an office here. And so we made the big leap and came. And I've never regretted it. I'm now a single person. But my daughter continues to live here as well and has her family, which is really nice. And for me, coming here, I was sort of shifting my career from doing portraits to doing flowers. And I mean, what better province could I be in there where I could take photos of flowers, and it just sort of really suited me artistically to a T, actually. So it was really quite nice. It was a good fit. And Vancouver, as we know, has a little bit better weather than Toronto. And yeah, I think it's still, you know, I'm sure you probably do it too for people you know back in Toronto, as they have just got blasted by some snowstorm and you sort of are emailing them and that saying, oh, the crocuses have just come up, you know, and the daffodils and the tulips. You know, it's a little bit of a dig, I think, that people out here like to give the sort of know-it-alls back in Toronto. Yeah, it's really lovely being out here. And it's at the same time, though, from an art point of view, it's really more difficult. It's more difficult here to establish yourself as an artist than it is back in Toronto. I think it's just because the market in Toronto is larger, obviously. And I think there's more an established art community. And so I just found it very difficult to really establish myself here as an artist. And so it's probably why I sort of switched over to teaching as much as I do.
So how long have you been in Vancouver?
Yeah, I've been here, as I said, 20 years. It seems like, I mean, it blows me away.
It's a long time.
I know it's a long time. I probably, yeah, I've lived here a long time. I do love it here. I mean, obviously I do. I mean, I go back every now and then to when there's a nurses reunion back in Toronto, which I will be doing. Actually, in this June, I'll be going back for a nurses reunion, but I only go back about every 5 years.
So what inspired you and what fulfilled your dream when you thought, I'd like to be an artist. I'd like to paint houses and people and flowers. How did that all come? How did you develop that skill?
Yes, I know it's sort of a mystery to people who probably don't have too much of an artistic bent. But for those of us like myself, who I'm self-taught, that it's something that I was able to do. It was a skill that I was born with, I must admit. I mean, I've got things that I did as a young child, and even when I look at it, I'm like, gee, that was pretty good. But I also feel on the other side too, the flip side of that coin is that you can be taught. So it's sort of a little bit of both. I like as I said, I was a nurse, and I think about in my late 20s, all of a sudden I just got hit again with the bug that I wanted to paint and draw. And so I found some place which was open long hours, which is as working as a nurse, when you're working shift, you don't have that option to join too many classes. And so that's what I did. I started painting there, and I just I went crazy. I mean, it was like opening up a big dam. I mean, all this artistic energy, everything else, I guess, that was all sort of inside me just sort of exploded out. And I just started painting like crazy. And the portraits that I started to work on initially came from a photo album that I found of my grandfather, who had taken all these beautiful photos back in the 1920s. Beautiful black and white photos, which I had never seen ever. I didn't even know my grandfather had taken photos, or I didn't even know that he was a photographer. So I started working with those images, my grandfather's images, and working them in sort of sepia color so they look sort of old fashioned. And lots of people saw them and wanted their pictures or when they were little kids, like when they were 2 and 3 and stuff. So this is like old people. Well, I'm old now, but at that time, these were people who were my age, wanting sort of family mementos of, when they were younger. And so I did tons and tons of those, my gosh. But I love doing those. I used to say I'm the artist that just makes people cry. Because they would see all these things and it would all bring back flood memories back to them of, their youth and stuff, which was nice.
Do your skills get better as you get older?
That's a good question. The skill part probably doesn't get better per se, but I think I find, that's interesting. I don't know. That's a good question, Peter. I don't know if my skill, and for me, I don't know if my skill has improved. It probably has, because as an artist, that's what you want to do. You want to be constantly improving and doing, challenging yourself. And right now I'm working with the thought that I want to, because having done that group of 7 paintings that I did do, I realized that maybe studying other artists more and learning how and seeing how they actually painted, I could sort of incorporate some of their skills, their philosophy, their attention to detail or lack attention to detail, their method of sort of doing it into my own paintings. So I started to do this. So right now I'm really focusing on David Milne, Peter Doig, a fellow called John Louvre. I'm just it's sort of interesting to bring another artist's perspective into your own work and seeing where that takes you. So that's sort of what I'm sort of involved in right now.
Is one day or 1 week different than the other?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I never know. Like I teach all day from 9:30 till 6:30, and each of those classes that I'm teaching in, sometimes I really don't know what my students are going to bring in for me to work, to help them with. And at the same time, sometimes I will have a theme for them as well, though, and we sort of can work within whatever that happens to theme, and they sort of like that as well. But I think because of the nature of art, it's always changing, right? And I like that. I like that challenge of. I mean, lots of people I know as we get older, and you may find this, I don't know, Peter, is that you're still quite young, that we get sort of locked into familiar things. We get locked into, a routine. That's sort of our saving grace. That's sort of our, it gives us comfort to know that there's all these, Monday, this is what we do on Monday. Tuesdays, this is what we do on Tuesday. But that's not me.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and you have this dream, this concept that you've got to paint this today, whatever this is?
Oh my God, I can't believe you're asking that question. Because that's what happened to me last night. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be talking to Peter today. I'm going to have bags down to my knees. I could not turn off my brain thinking about this one painting that I've been working on. And it's been really challenging because I know where I want to go with it, but somehow or other, I'm pretty good at visualizing things, but this somehow is eluding me. Yeah, I do wake up. Yeah, unfortunately, probably maybe that's why I'm single again. I don't know.
The ad that you're running in our magazine, which is a gorgeous ad,
yeah, it is good. You guys did a great job.
Looking at your paintings it seems to me they're all flowers.
Yes, they are.
You have done more than that, and you do more than that. Tell us a little about that.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I love doing flowers. I make no apologies for doing that. Sometimes, when you go to a party and, you're meeting people for the first time, and when they find out you're an artist, they say, oh, they're all excited. Oh, you're an artist. And they say, what do you paint? And I thought, okay, here we go. And I'll say, flowers. And you can just see their eyes sort of glaze over, right? And you're sort of dismissed. You do flowers, as my grandmother does or something. It's like, not quite. Yeah,
You do a range. You do a range of
I
subjects.
do a lot. Yes, I do. I mean, I do landscape, I still do portraits. And right now, as I said, I've been copying original old masters. I've done, as I mentioned, maybe a little bit of the Group of Seven, as that was their 100th anniversary in 2020 when we went into lockdown. So that was, it gave me something to work on. Otherwise, I was just sort of trapped in this house and I didn't know where I was going to go. And at the same time, into phase 2 and phase 3, what I took on was Rembrandt, Da Vinci, and Vermeer. Yeah, I know. And like the Mona Lisa that took Da Vinci, I think it took him 4 or 5 years to paint. It took me 3 months, which for me is a long time to focus on one painting.
What are you happiest with of the best painting you feel you have done for you?
Oh, that's a good question too. I don't think there's any one thing. I think it's just every day. It doesn't really matter to me. As long as I'm painting, I'm happy, you know? I mean, I keep saying, you know, painting is like the best therapy for anyone, you know, and I find like a lot of the ladies that come to me and the few gentlemen that do, they come forward as much for the therapy, for the, you know, the camaraderie, to the, you know, that they feel very safe coming into my environment and they can say and do anything that without being judged. And I guess I love that part of it at all. I mean, I'm the girls that I'm teaching now, the young ones who have been with me probably for like 10 years, some of these children I've been teaching, they gave me the highest compliment the other day and saying, you know, they felt so safe coming to see me. And they're now 16 and they know my cutoff age is 12. I just keep saying to them, I can't get rid of them, that they said, she said, you know, I feel so safe coming here, Georgia, that, you know, we can talk about anything that's happening in school or anything else. And you don't judge us. You just get right in there and just talk to us about it all at the same time. And she said, as an adult, they were finding this very refreshing, which is nice, which is a nice compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does the future hold for you?
The future. Well, I wish I had a crystal ball. Do you have one of those?
I don't.
Oh, darn. No, I don't know what that future holds to me. I hope it holds happiness, contentment. You know, my career gives me that, which I'm really very blessed that I am able to do something that I'm good at, and I don't consider it work, right? It's just a joy every day. You know,
when you're out about shopping or, you know, driving to the Okanagan or wherever you might be, do you sort of all of a sudden see something that you stop and say, I've got to paint that, whatever that is?
Not too much. Well, I don't travel that much anymore, I must admit. I used to do that a lot more, but now as I'm older and I'm more sedentary, I guess. I really don't get out. I mean, all my art that I do paint, like all those flower paintings that I do paint, are actually from my backyard or my front yard or my neighbor's yard, you know. So, but I do see things that, you know, take my breath away. And, you know, if I see them, you know, I do see things like that too. Yes, as an artist, you're constantly looking at whatever it happens to be and thinking, how could I paint that? You know, what could I do to make that an interesting painting? Yes. I mean, that's just how our brain sort of works or kicks in. I think any artist probably would say the same thing. That's just how our brain works.
You said something that I found a little interesting before we went on the air, that your pictures are not framed elaborately, because you sell them basically as is, so that the owner can put their own frames around them. Tell us a bit about how you came up with that idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Peter. It was quite a few years ago, actually, when I was running a gallery, and a number of artists were coming in with their works framed, which I was saying, well, I really don't like these frames on here. If you don't mind, I'm going to take the frames off and I'm just going to display them as is, which they were horrified at, because it was sort of unheard of, actually, that artists would actually sell their work unframed. And I continue to do that myself. I usually buy the profile of the canvas is usually 2 or 3, 1 or 2 inches. I was going to say 2 or 3, but it's not that wide. Usually 1 or 2 inches. So it's a nice width of a canvas, and it sits quite nicely on a wall. And most houses these days are more contemporary, especially here in Vancouver. And that sort of style sort of suits. And if they want to put a frame on it, then they can go and to their own taste have a frame put on. I'm always leery of someone doing that to my own paintings, to tell you the truth, though, because I've seen some of them, and when they come back, I'm thinking, well, and I don't say, what I do say is, are you happy with that frame? And if they say yes, I shut my mouth.
Because sometimes it doesn't enhance the painting itself.
Yes, exactly. And that's what a frame should do. I mean, I had a few framed, here I go saying I don't frame anything, but I may have mentioned too during our earlier talk that I've done some old masters like Da Vinci and Vermeer. So I've tackled Mona Lisa and so on. And I went and had those framed recently because I just felt they needed something more to enhance them as that style of painting. And I must admit, it's elevated the painting like 100%. I mean, I've found some frames or moldings that, molds when you go into the, the frame shop, and I'm always looking for very old style kind of frames. And yeah, I managed to find some that were really quite good. And this is from Opus, by the way. So that's a nice, nice local store, and I'll give them a bit of a plug. Yeah, they did a really great job.
Opus is the frame shop.
No, no, not Opus. What did I say? Opus. Well, Opus has helped me, and I'm sure it's Michael's. What am I saying? Opus. Michael's, yeah. Yes, which is sort of a craft and frame shop. Yeah. And they, so they had done a really great job on those. Sorry about that. Sorry, Michael's.
So that'll help them too.
Hopefully. I think we all should help each other. Any way that we can is to really sort of, promote each other's. So again, you were talking about those ones at the tea garden, the secret tea garden. Yes. So people can go there as well. I mean, all those paintings up there on that wall are all for sale. So hopefully they'll go and visit them and have a nice high tea and sit amongst all my florals and maybe think about buying one. That would be nice. That's sort of what we're doing.
Do you like teaching the most? Do you like painting the most? Or is it all part of who you are?
I think it's all part of who I am. I love painting. I keep saying I'm going to, give up teaching to the dismay of all my students, but I probably never will, because I really enjoy doing that as well. I love sharing. I love helping other people reach their dreams, to, reach their goals, which is sort of really important. The part of sort of trying to paint more these days, though, has brought me sort of full circle, sorry about that, of why I'm sort of talking to you, why I put that ad in TV Week, because I'm trying to reach out to more people. I really want my career to be developed more. I really sort of put it on the back burner and just sort of let it sit there, sells, I would sell 4 or 5 paintings a year kind of thing. But now I'm really seriously thinking, because I do want to reduce the number of hours that I'm teaching. So I need to bring in more income through my art. So I'm using social media a lot more, which is really good, which is why I've hired a social media assistant, which is sort of a misnomer because she's not an assistant at all. She manages the whole thing, I have to admit. And so she does this. So as with social media, it's at Georgia Young's Art, which is on Instagram and Facebook. I can't believe all these things that she's doing for me, which is like blows me away, which is great. You can see the assortment of your paintings on that. Yeah, I know, it's great. And so
repeat that letter, those letters again.
Okay, so it's at social media. It's at the asterisk, whatever, at Georgia Young's Art. So that's Instagram and Facebook. Okay. You can also go to my website, which is my full name again, Georgia Youngs, www.georgiayoungs.ca, and see all my portfolio, as I say, everything that I do is on there. My life is sort of an open book.
Well, it says in the ad here, You're an artist, an art instructor, a gallery owner, and a storyteller.
Yeah, I know it. Here I'm blabbing away to you. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You tell great stories.
I do. I come by it honestly. My grandmother was a great storyteller. So yeah, and that brings me joy too. I love talking to people. I love hearing what they have to say, and you know, and they obviously they like to hear what I have to say as well. But I'm going to have
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like to get out on this broadcast?
Yeah, I think, well, it's that flash sale that I'm going to have. It's a pop-up art show that I'm going to be having on Sunday, June 5th here at my place. That'll be on, again, Sunday, June 5th, 11 till 2, I think. It's just going to be a quick sale. A lot of items that are, it's just going to be like $10 to up. I think the high end might be $300, but most things are going to be $10, $20, $40 kind of thing. So I really want, and that's just sort of a preview for the show I'm going to have in July, which is going to be, let me look at my notes here. I think that's going to be on the 24th. And again, it'll be in the garden. And so it's very safe for people to come. I had the first one that I had last year during the, you know, that we were still in the midst of all this pandemic. But I felt people needed something new to do. I think people were looking for that. And I thought, what better way than just to come and walk around my garden, which they did. They came in droves, actually. It was one of the best shows I've ever had. Sold a lot of art. So that's good. So people are looking for things, and they like the idea of coming to an artist's home. They like to see, you know, where everything, I had paintings sort of in situ. I said, you know, these are the flowers here that I painted, and here's the painting, you know. So it was an interesting day.
Well, repeat those dates, and if you can, repeat where the show will actually be.
Okay, all right. So the pop-up art show is going to be on Sunday, June 5th, and that's 11 till 2. The price point, again, is going to be very low, $10 up to $300. And then the next one that I'm going to have, which is the main art show that I'll have for this year, again, will be in my back garden, which will be on July 24th from 11 to 3. And again, then I will have, in that show, I will have my theme, the theme that I've been working on, which is memories, houses and gardens in Dunbar and Kerrisdale. And there'll be, as I say, again, in my backyard, my address. Do you want me to give my address?
Yes, if you wish. Okay.
5649 Blenheim Street. And that's at Blenheim and 41st in Dunbar. So I hope everybody can come. And you know, we'll have good weather. You get to come out, enjoy some fresh air, see some nice art, get to chat with me.
That would be that would be enough just to chat with you and see your art.
Oh, it is. I agree. I have a really good time in those shows. I love meeting the people, and I get really excited when they buy a piece, and they get excited by buying one of mine, which makes me happy too. You have to come and visit me. You have to come to the show. I
will.
Oh, I'm gonna hold you to it, Peter.
You will. We'll be there. We'll both come.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Georgia, thank you so much for this time. I appreciate it. I know it's gone a little longer than we thought, but your story is quite compelling and interesting, and I know will resonate with our audience. So thank you so very much.
Oh, well, thank you, Peter. I really enjoyed it. Have a good day.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.